Hello everyone. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can set up and use C# in Unreal Engine. Now, Unreal Engine is mainly used with, I would say, three methods. You've got Blueprints, you have C++, and the Fortnite Unreal Editor uses Verse, which apparently will be coming to normal Unreal Engine in 5.6. But there's a couple of alternatives on this. So the first one I'm going to show is UnrealSharp. And basically this allows you to use C# and .NET 9 in Unreal Engine, and it can all communicate with each other. And if you're more of a Unity developer that wants to take a step into Unreal but doesn't want to use pure C++, then this is a project you should check out. So this is actually a one of two that is being used. The other one is called AngelScript, and this is being developed by the guys that make It Takes Two and also the Talos Principle 2. Now, I will show how to set this one up, but this one requires you to download the source code of the engine and compile it for yourself, which is quite a lot of work. And if you're unsure, then it can be a bit difficult. But if you want this one, this is just a plugin that you drop into your project and it works fine. So what it allows for is you can hot reload things. It will allow you to write in C. So it's still being worked on, and they do say that be careful with using this. If I go to the FAQ, it's not production ready, but you can still use it and learn from it for now. And it's completely free and open source. And there is a roadmap. If we click here, you can actually see what is being done and things like that. So this tutorial is going to be getting it set up and showing you how quickly to use it. So in the setup page, you can see we require 5.3 to 5.5, and you need to have installed the .NET 9.0 SDK. So once you've done this, what we can do is we can go to the GitHub page, and you can either clone it using whatever way you want to, but I normally just click code and download zip. So I'm going to put that on the desktop here. So now we have the project's files downloaded. What we need to do is we need to create a new project, and it needs to be a C++ project because we need to load it into an IDE, so either Rider or Visual Studio, and then build it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do games, and we'll just do a first person. We'll click C++, and we're going to call this YT C# just for this video. We're going to create the project. So this might take a little bit, so just don't worry, just let it do its thing. So eventually it will load up. Okay, so what we now need to do is we can close the project. For some reason, Rider opened, and we need to put the files we downloaded into our projects folder. So for me, they are on the desktop, and I just extracted them. If we go in, we want to grab this file. So it's the file above where the U plugin is. We just copy and I create a new folder called plugins, and I'm going to drop that in there. So now we have the plugin file in. What we're going to do is right click on the U project and come to show more set options in Windows 11 and generate Visual Studio project files. This is just to update the project files or the solution on everything that we need, and it will create some DLL files for the C# project. So now that's done, we can open the Visual Studio project. So the first time you load it, it might take a little bit before it's ready, but what we want to do now is under games on the YTC#, which is what mine is called, we can right click and build, and then it will build the project. It may take a little bit, but we will see. I'm going to pause the video and come back when it's done. Okay, so we've successfully built the project, and now we should be able to open it. We can close Visual Studio for now. So when you first load the project again, you should get a prompt like this, that no project was found, we'd like to create one. You just click yes, and then you can create C# project. So now we're in. And if you notice at the top, we have a new icon, and this is for all the C# stuff. So what we can do is we can click on here and click Open C# Solution. And this will open your IDE. So for me, Visual Studio. And you can now see that we have some new, it's opened a completely different thing, a solution. And what we can do is we can right click, come down to add, and then add a class. If we do that, what we can do now is we can click class. So this is all C# stuff. And here we go. So let's call this spinning cube, because that's the example I'm going to do. And we can click add. So here we go. So what we do is, so what we're going to do is we are going to create a spinning cube. So all this at the top we can get rid of, and there's a few things we need to do. So we can do using UnrealSharp attributes. My keyboard is in the wrong language for this, so let me change that. We want using UnrealSharp core UObject, using UnrealSharp engine, and that should be that. The namespace, we can just add a semicolon like this. So internal class we don't need. So let's get started. Because this is Unreal, we want to use U class like this. So this is at the top, like so. This just says basically that we are from Unreal. So let's get started with the actual actor. So because this is Unreal, so let's get started by creating an actual actor. So we can do public class. Now, because this is going to be on Unreal, there'll be some Unreal C++ style text in here. I'm not the best with C++ or C#, so be warned. And let's create the class. So I'm going to create a spinning cube, and it's going to be a actor type like this. And then we're going to put the curly brackets in. So what we want to do first is we want to make sure we have a root component. And in Unreal, if we come into here, for example, and we open a blueprint, the root component is, for example, this. This is the default scene root component. Now, if you create a new actor, a new blueprint, by default, it's going to be default scene root. So we're going to replicate this in C#. So what we do is we can do brackets, U property, and then we want to say default component equals true. So we're basically saying that we have a default component. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say root component equals true, like so. So we're saying that what we're creating here is going to be default to the actor, and it's also going to be the root component. So what we can do is we can say public uScene component. Then we need to name the component. So we're going to call it scene component. We can call it my scene component. And then if you see the IntelliSense, it says set get. We can just press tab, and then that's set up now. Next thing we're going to do is we want a static mesh component. So basically we follow the same lines. We do U property, default component, and that will then be equals true. But we don't want root component because it's not a root component. We want attach component, and we want the attached component to be name of my C component. So basically what this is doing is we are saying it's going to be default to the actor. We're going to attach it. We're going to attach it to something of the name of my C component that we've created here. So what we're going to do next is we're going to set that as something. So it's uStaticMesh component. And like before, we're going to do my static mesh component, and it's going to be a get set. Next thing I'm going to add is where we don't need, where we can add a box collision just to show how it works. U property, and it's going to be a default component equals true. And it's going to be attached component to the static mesh. And this is going to be a public, and it's going to be a uBox component, and we're going to call it my box component, and then that's done. So basically this is setting up the hierarchy. So if I come into the editor and we look again at this, so in our context, for example, if I can get these both up like this, I also need that up. I don't think I can. Okay. So static mesh component and my box, if we look into here, that would be a example static mesh and then the box. This is how it would look, but it would have a scene on it as well. Right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to basically replicate, if I open this blueprint again. So Unreal Engine, we have the construct script, and it's basically anything that is going to modify the blueprint on construction goes in here. Now, what we need to do in here is actually activate it to a sense, or bring it in. So to do this, it's public override void construct script. So here we go. Now what we've done here is basically created the construction script. And we're going to do some things in here. We're going to set the collision box to always be bigger than the mesh, and it will update automatically if we change the mesh. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an integer called box size. And we're going to create an f vector called min. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Min and max. Like so. Why did that? Okay, f vector. Yeah. What we're going to do is we're going to get the static mesh component and we're going to check how big that is. And to do this, we can do my static mesh component dot get local bounds, and we can out because this get local bounds will give us two vectors. So we want to get back min, and we're going to say out max, like so. So we're checking how big the actor is, and then we're going to save it into these two variables here. Then we're going to f vector again, and we're going to say box size equals max minus min, like that. So this is saying it's complaining about that, and I don't know why. One sec. Of course. Because I've named it here and it needs to be named something else. So what we can do is just call it a size of our box, like that. Size of collision, that. So now we want to modify the collision we applied. So we can say my box component dot set box extent size of collision, size of collision divided by 2. Then we want to set it so it will show up in game, the collision. My box component dot set hidden in game to be false, because we want to actually see the box show up. So that's the construct. So next we're going to implement begin play, which is, if you've done blueprints, it's the first node that gets fired. So what we can do, we can say begin play, and as soon as you press play, this event happens. Or if this object is spawned in, this will happen. So we need to create that. For that, it's protected, override, void, and then begin play, like this. And now we have our begin play. So what we're going to do is we're going to say print string hello world, like that. So that is our begin play. Now the next one we want to do is we want to have a event tick. So event tick is public override void tick, like so. So this is the tick that will happen every second, or every game tick basically. And what we want to do here is we're going to rotate the object, rotate the cube. So what we can do is we can say base dot tick is delta seconds. Oh, it's already here. What am I doing? What we want to do is we're going to do an F rotator, and we're going to feed in delta rotation. We're going to call it that, and we're going to say new F rotator, and I'm going to rotate it by 0, 120 multiplied by delta seconds. If you're used to Unity, I think delta seconds is called delta time. Next, we are going to do a F hit result. And we're just going to call that hit result because F rotator outputs a hit result. or it requires add actor world rotation requires a hit result, sorry. Which is the next node we're going to do. So next is add actor world rotation. We need our delta rotation in, and we're going to say false because we're not going to be sweeping. But we do need to write in out and then hit result and true at the end because we're going to teleport. Okay. So what we can do now is if we control save, we can go into Unreal and we can see if that has come in yet. So we can say right click, blueprint class, all classes, and what did we call it? Let's see. It was called a spinning cube. So there we go. Now we have this. We can click select, BP, spinning cube. So if I drag this into the world and we can go into it, so you can see all the things we've just created are now here, like this. And we can attach a cube one, not that cube one, this one. There we go. So if you see, the my box component has a box collision around it. And if you look, it's basically perfectly around the object. And what this means is, the way we've set it up, if I change it to this long one, it will perfectly go around it here, like this. So now if I plot this into the game here, and we press play, so our box is now rotating. We've done nothing in the blueprint itself to do this. And what this means now, this is hot loaded, or we can compile on the fly. So if I press back into here, and I want, say, that rotator, I want it to rotate 240. So I save it. I come back into Unreal. Oops. And now it's spinning faster. So let's just do this. If I put this like here and then that. And I can then do, say, 5, and I save it, come back in. It's hot loaded, and now it's rotating at 5. If I want it to rotate, say, on a different axis, I can do the same. I can say 5. And now we're spinning like that. So if I want 5, and I do star delta seconds, save it, and then we go back. It complained about something then. Build failed, 1 error. So 56, I think it was this one it failed at. Don't think it liked that. Oh, I see why it failed. We forgot to add a number there. So now if I save and go back in, there we go. Now we have a spinning cube. So one other thing I'm going to quickly show. Oh, my Explorer decided to crash. So one other thing I'm going to quickly show is in Unreal, we have functions that basically we can create a function and have like values in it or whichever we want. And then we can basically call. So now I have this new function. I can say new function and I can call it from whatever I want. Create one of these in C#. What we're going to do is I'm just going to create it below here. And the way we call it is we say u function flags dot blueprint blueprint callable. So this is basically like the one you just saw that requires a line going into it. There is also blueprint pure, which is, it doesn't require an input. It's just say you've got like code running in it of like calculating a number. Then you would call it pure and you could just input it like that. I should probably show it. So for example, in here, if you had an output of like a Boolean and you set this to be pure, this is what it's like now. It requires a node in and a node out. But if you set this to pure and then you call it, you only have this. So it will run the code in here and just give you this that you can plug into something else. But let's get back to making this. So what we can do then is we can say public void, and we can say hello function, and we're going to have a bool return from this, and we're going to call this my bool, like that. And then what we're going to say is once this is called, we're going to print string, and we're going to do bool is, and then plus my bool, and there we go. So if we save it, go back into Unreal, so we've now recompiled. Let's see if we can say hello function. There we go. And what we can do is on begin play, we can say we're going to call this, and we're going to say my bool is true. So if I play now, bool is true. So personally, I would say that if you are wanting to try Unreal, but you don't really want to use too much blueprints and you're not that knowledgeable on C++, this is a really good way to get into it, because on here, I will link this below, that you have a list of all the different functions that can be used. You have how to make an enumerator, how to use interfaces, all the different things like the delegates, how to use multiplayer, which is really useful for people, how to do traces and things like that. So I would say if you're curious about Unreal, but your back is in C#, give this a try. You might find it useful. So I hope this has been useful, a little insight into some of the different options you can do instead of just using Blueprint or C++. If you want to play around with this and like figure it out, the website is really good. Before I forget, there is a specific way of packaging projects. So normally in Unreal, you just package your file and that's done. In using if you do it this way, by just packaging it, the project won't run. What you have to do is, once you've packaged it this way and the packaging is complete, you then need to click this button and package project again. And that will basically package the C# files as well, and then the project will run fine. If you only do one of these, the project won't run. So I hope this has been useful. My team, we had a new member that only used Unity, and we found this and thought it might be a fun thing to like get them used to Unreal without overloading them. Like they still want to code in C# and they can. So thanks for watching. It's probably a long video, but let me know what you think, and I'd love to see what you manage to build with this if you build something. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.